After all, if you don't want the FBI spying on you or the police surrounding you and then invading your home with rifles and seizing your computers, there's a very simple solution. Don't protest the government. Just sit quietly in your house and mind your own business. That way, the government will have no reason to monitor what you have said or what you are saying, and they will feel no need to intimidate you by invading your home. Anyone who decides to protest, especially with something as unruly and disrespectful as an authorized street march, well, they get what they deserve. Isn't this the very mentality which clearly is the cause of virtually everyone turning away as these police raids escalate against ordinary citizens, including lawyers, journalists, and activists who have broken no laws and whose only crime is that they intend to vocally protest what the government is doing. Add to that the fact that many good establishment liberals are embarrassed by leftist protesters of this sort and wish that they would remain silent, invisible. And there arises a widespread consensus that these government attacks are perfectly tolerable, if not desirable. During the Olympics just a week ago, there was an endless hand-wringing of efforts by the major mainstream media here in the United States regarding the Chinese government to squelch dissent and incarcerate protesters. On August the 2nd, the Washington Post gravely warned, behind the gray walls and barbed wire of the prison here, 8 Chinese farmers with a grievance against the government have been consigned to the Olympic limbo. Their indefinite detainment, relatives and neighbors said, is the price they are paying for stirring up trouble as China prepares to host the Beijing Games. Trouble, the party has made clear, will not be permitted. Would the Washington Post ever use such a dark and accusatory tone to describe what the U.S. government here in the United States actually does? Of course it wouldn't. Yet how is our own government's behavior in Minnesota during this past week any different than what the Chinese did to its protesters during the Olympics? And where are all the self-righteous freedom crusaders in our nation's establishment organs who were so flamboyantly criticizing the actions of a government on the other side of the globe, as our own government engages in the same tyrannical protest squelching conduct with exactly the same motives? Just review what happened during this past week. Homes of college-age protesters were raided by rifle-wielding police forces. Journalists were forcibly detained at gunpoint. Lawyers on the scene to represent the detainees were handcuffed and taken to prison as well. Computers, laptops, journals, diaries, and political pamphlets were seized from people's homes. And all of this occurred against U.S. citizens without a single act of violence having taken place, and nothing more serious than a traffic blockage even alleged by authorities to have been planned. I could go on, and I probably will, because people need to speak out about this. I'm not going to quit.